You're now live, Dave.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Welcome everyone to the February meeting of the Planning and Highways Committee. I'm Councillor Dave Smith and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. I'll just read out the preamble. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of Planning and Highways Committee for February. This meeting is being held virtually in accordance with Part 2 of the Local Authorities and Police and Crime Panels Coronavirus Flexibility of Local Authority and Police and Crime Panel Meetings, England and Wales Regulations 2020 and the Council's Supplementary Council Procedurals. In summary, the regulations were brought in as a response to the coronavirus epidemic. They remove the requirement for members to be physically present in the room. They allow us to debate, participate and vote through remote video conferencing while observing the social distancing measures needed to restrict the spread of the virus. Can I ask all members and officers to observe the following principles? Please mute your microphone and turn off your video at all times unless I've called upon you to speak. Remember to mute your microphone and turn off your video again when you are finished. Indicate at the start of the meeting if you wish to speak through the MS Teams chat channel if you wish to speak again. I will call members to speak at my discretion and according to demands of the agenda. In terms of voting or plan application, officers or myself will ask each councillor in turn. Okay. So I've welcomed everyone to the meeting. Have we any apologies, Shannon?
No, I've not received any.
Okay, item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. Would someone like to move those?
Chair.
I move it.
It's Michael Green from Legal Services.
Michael?
Yes, Chair. Just to put forward for the committee's consideration that in respect of minute 43.1, to note that notwithstanding the resolution to approve in January's committee, the committee will be aware that no decision notice was released and it has been brought back to committee this month. And I just think it's relevant for the minutes to note that.
Thank you, Michael.
Chair, I'll move the minutes.
Seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. Right, we'll move on to item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Shannon, have you received anything?
Nope, none received.
Okay. That being the case, we'll move straight on to item 4.1, which is the first plan application, which is proposed development outline plan application regulation 4 with all matters reserved for residential development of up to 165 dwellings, land to the south of Whalley Old Road, Blackburn, and this is an updated report, if you recall, from last time. Has everyone received the updates from Shannon?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone okay with the updates?
Yeah.
The updates has been further representations from Mr. Atherton, and the consultant who produced the MRA has responded to those, some of the representations. We've 2 speakers. We have Mr. Atherton, who's here. Mr. Truella as well. Is Mr. Truella here?
Yes.
Great. Okay, thank you. Mr. Atherton, do you wish to speak, please? Can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Okay, Mr. Atherton, you're speaking against it. So if you wish
Thank
to
you.
say whatever you'd like. Thank you.
So again, the Council's latest authority monitoring report very clearly shows that the Council has a 13.9-year supply of deliverable housing land when it's only required to have 5-year supply. Therefore, this development is completely unnecessary to meet government housing targets. The large surplus of housing land means the Council does not have sufficient reason to violate its current local plan policy 4 by approving this application. The only urgency to push ahead with the application is to enable the Council to sell the land at a significantly higher value, pocket the money, and destroy a greenfield area of community value, which adds to the landscape setting of the area. NPPF clause 48 states that the more advanced the local emerging plan, the more weight can be given to it. It also says that the amount of weight is dependent on the objections yet to be resolved. Since the draft local plan is still being consulted on, never mind being examined by the Planning Inspectorate, the amount of weight that can be afforded to it is negligible and not enough to outweigh the current local plan. This application is premature under NPPF clause 49. The development will predetermine future applications in an area that is central to the emerging local plan by setting precedent that if protection afforded by policy 4 can be ignored, potentially leading to piecemeal development of the wider Brownhill 4.1 site, which is not desirable according to both emerging and current local plan. The council accepts that this development is not compatible with the current local plan and it breaches policy 4. The council's argument is that it doesn't matter because the development is in line with the draft local plan. However, it is not in line with the draft local plan. Core Policy 2 states that a minimum density of 25 dwellings per hectare is required in suburban developments. The draft plan emphasises the minimum density standards specified in Policy CP2 are applicable to any application involving residential use. Any new development at Worley Old Road should therefore have a minimum density of 25 dwellings per hectare. This is unequivocal. Instead, this application's proposed density of 20 dwellings per hectare. That means that according to the council's own draft local plan, this development will represent an inefficient use of land and buildings. According to the draft local plan, it will be inappropriate. To be appropriate, it would need over 200 houses. Furthermore, outline planning is for up to 165 dwellings, not more than. This cannot be amended significantly upwards at detailed planning. And that is because all the reports and assessments done currently for this application to establish the principle of development are based upon a maximum of 165 houses. This application contravenes the local current plan. It contravenes the draft local plan core policies. It contravenes the NPPF. At the last meeting, this committee discounted many of the objections raised and approved this application out of hand, only to make a U-turn the day after with points raised. This application is quite blatant in its disregard for local plans and core policies, and yet you seem resolved to approve it no matter the evidence presented to you. With hindsight, we hope you'll reassess this application objectively and fairly, with the only logical and reasonable outcome being to reject it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Atherton. We have a Mr. Truella. Mr. Truella is the agent. Mr. Truella, do you want us to speak, please?
Thank you. My name is Graham Truella, and I'm the agent for this planning application. At the Planning Committee on the 21st of January, it was resolved outline planning permission should be granted. The decision notice has not been issued. The reason for this is that time needed to be given to an assessment of the mineral resource on the site and whether or not this has implications for the recommendation by your officers to grant planning permission. I will focus on the mineral resource issue, as other planning matters were discussed at the last Planning Committee. The minerals resource assessment submitted to the Council has been prepared by recognised specialists in planning matters that surround the extraction of minerals. It is a robust report. The conclusions of the mineral resource assessment are clear and concise. They are based on a thorough review of both national and local planning policy, backed up with considerable experience of handling similar assignments across the UK. The minerals resource assessment has considered a wide range of issues and potential impacts. Amongst the most significant issues are any environmental impacts arising from the extraction of minerals on this site and the realistic prospect of this being viable or even desirable. In straightforward terms, the site is too constrained and too close to existing housing and industry to make mineral extraction at all viable. The extraction of minerals must be based on schemes that are practical, commercially viable, and environmentally feasible. None of these considerations can be achieved on this site. Firstly, it is not practical to extract any minerals. There needs to be a considerable buffer of more than 100 metres between zones of mineral extraction and existing housing on Worley Old Road or industry on the Whiteburg Industrial Estate. Once this buffer is taken into account, the zone available for mineral extraction on this site is insignificant. Secondly, if both buffers and environmental impacts of mineral extraction are taken into account, then the theoretical area available for mineral extraction is small. It would not be commercially viable to extract any minerals present on the site are of no commercial value. Thirdly, it will not be feasible to extract minerals on a commercial basis because the environmental impacts will be harmful to those that live and work nearby. Noise, dust, vibration, and traffic impacts could not be mitigated given that housing and industry are so close. In summary, the MRA has demonstrated in a clear and comprehensive way that any mineral present on the site cannot be extracted on a commercial basis because the constraints on the site and the proximity to homes and businesses, there's no benefit or need to consider the matter further. It is requested that planning permission is granted in accordance with the recommendation put forward by your officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trewhella. Gavin, would you like to go through this report, please?
Thank you, Chair. So the application tonight is the outline application for up to 165 dwellings, which was previously presented to you at last month's meeting. So as previously discussed, I should point out that notwithstanding the resolution to approve the application, the decision has not been revoked as the final decision was not released. The approved decision does not constitute the decision notice that you made last month. Members will be aware of the debate related to the minerals safeguarded area within the application site at the last meeting. Following the meeting, officers considered it was appropriate to address the issue related to the minerals safeguarding area to ascertain whether this would have any implications in terms of the recommendation and the conditions. As such, the applicant sought clarification on this, and a detailed minerals resource assessment has been submitted by the consultant. Turning to the issue of the minerals resource assessment, the minerals safeguarded area is allocated under the joint Lancashire Minerals and Waste Local Plan for 2013, which forms part of the development plan. The decision-making authorities for this plan are the Blackburn with Darwen Borough Council, Lancashire County Council and Blackpool. Policy M2 of the plan is relevant, but it does not conflict with the current local plan policy 2. The requirement for a minerals resource assessment is not from the policy itself, but from a guidance note, which is not a formal supplementary planning document. It is down to the decision maker on whether it is appropriate for a minerals resource assessment to be submitted in relation to the specific planning application. In this particular circumstance, it was deemed appropriate as the application is outside the urban boundary, being on a site allocated under policy 4 of the local plan. The submitted minerals resource assessment should be submitted by an appropriately qualified consultant to carry out such an assessment. As such, the common approach taken by Blackpool Borough Council, Lancashire County Council for the district authorities is to take the content and recommendations in the resource assessment on their face value. In this particular case, the author of the minerals resource assessment is an experienced minerals and waste chartered town planner working for a consultant who specialises in minerals planning, and as such there is no need to question the recommendations and conclusions. The assessment of the submitted minerals resource assessment is contained in paragraphs 3.515 to paragraph 3.523 of the main report. Evidence shows that sandstone was previously extracted from the area shown in figure 11, which was just under 30% of the development site. So any issues arising from this will be dealt with through the ground investigation reports recommended in condition number 7. The findings of these reports may deem this portion of the site to be undevelopable, which could then act as a further buffer area, which can then be landscaped. The applicants are fully aware of this. So the conclusions from the assessment are contained in paragraph 3.520 of the main report. Firstly, there is no potential value in extracting the minerals, the extent and nature of which would not be commercially viable. There is no prospect of prior extraction. There is an overriding need for the development. The introduction of residential receptors will not result on proximal sterilisation of the wider mineral safeguarding area, and the mineral is effectively sterilised by the land use context. As the speaker has alluded to, the site is too constrained to allow minerals to be extracted from the site. For example, it's too close to housing and commercial units. The purpose of policy M2 is to allow for minerals to be extracted on site and with proposals that are practical, viable and have no environmental impacts. As there is no prospect of minerals ever being worked on the application site, there is no conflict with paragraphs 204 to 206 of the MPPF. Comments have been received by Mr. Atherton, the spokesperson for the Sunny Bower Community Group, in relation to the assessment, which are included in the update report, and a rebuttal to these comments is also included in the update report. The issues relating to the principal development, the local plan allocation, the loss of green space, highways, ecological and impacts towards the adjacent existing working practices of Blackburn Chemicals were fully discussed at last month's meeting. In summary, members, you are advised that notwithstanding the limitations associated with current policy 4 of the local plan, the 2017 regulations state local planning authorities must review their local plans every 5 years from their adoption to ensure that policies are still relevant and up to date. And following a review of the current local plan, it was considered necessary to update the plan. The draft local plan identifies the application site as a separate growth housing site allocation, and in accordance with paragraph 48 of the MPPF, and given the progress of the local plan review, emerging rate can now be afforded. Notwithstanding the comments by the speaker, prematurity does not go against the vision of the plan, and as such, at the consultation stage, it's considered that paragraph 48 is compliant. As such, members are advised that the proposed scheme is in accordance with the caveats in Policy 4 related to the release of land for permanent development following a local plan review. In terms of the allocation, in terms of the density that the Speaker again alluded to in the plan, up to 25 houses per hectare, this is again also site specific, and as I've alluded to then, there's going to be a large buffer zone in this particular site in relation to the housing developments and the industrial developments, which also could be dictated by the ground investigations. So the figure is not actually set in that proposal. So again, it would not set a precedent for any future developments, and it would not act as piecemeal development in contrary and conflict with a larger, wider allocation in the new local plan. With regards to the highways, subject to the improvements proposed set out in the main report, it's considered that this will mitigate any effects on the additional traffic on the road network. There's no unacceptable impact on the highway safety, and as such is compliant with national and local planning policies. Turning to ecology, an ecological impact assessment has also been submitted, which has been assessed by the Council's ecological advisors. Although the proposal involves developing an existing greenfield site, it does provide an opportunity to retain, manage and enhance the existing habitats of value on the site, and also introduce new habitats as part of the landscaping and open space and sustainable drainage proposals, thereby leading to a net gain in biodiversity. There are no concerns in relation to the ecology within the application site and beyond, and subject to the recommended conditions, any impacts will be mitigated and comply with Policy 9 of the local plan and the NPPF. I'm turning to the objections that from Blackburn Chemicals, who are a regulated site by the EA. There are also 2 other regulated sites within the industrial estate. These objections relating to the Blackburn Chemicals being a 24-hour operation site, noise and odour and potential impact this will have on the future occupants of the dwellings. The Environment Agency have also raised concerns. As we know, the application is in outline only. The proposed layout and design will be addressed at reserved matter stage. Mitigation measures that I've alluded to before in terms of the relationship with the chemical factory and the industrial estate will dictate the layout, orientation and design to safeguard the living conditions of the future occupiers. This may be the form of a buffer zone, and this has been accepted both by the EA, Environment Agency and the Council's Public Protection Officers. In summary, as I've illustrated previously, the principle of development is considered to be acceptable. There are no technical or environmental impediments, including minerals extraction, to the proposal. The Minerals Resource Assessment has shown the recommendation and conditions presented to the meeting in January has not changed. The ecological trees, air quality, odours, noise, drainage issues will all be fully addressed in detail at the reserved matter stage. And it's considered that the proposal will not result in an unacceptable impact on highway safety or the surrounding road network. As such, the members are advised to support the recommendation to approve the application as set out in paragraph 4.1 of the main report.
Thank you very much, Gavin. Thanks for that. I've got several speakers down. Firstly, I've got Councillor Oates. Jen.
Thank you, Chair. That's great. Since last month's meeting, officers sought further clarification with this applicant regarding the mineral safeguarding area issue. This has now been addressed with the formal submission of a minerals resource assessment on the 4th of February 21, and the details have been included in the relevant sections of this main report that have been presented to the committee in paragraphs 3.5.15 to 3.5.23. The geological consultant has said there's nothing of any consequence to be worried about. This site was an old sandstone quarry. I'm satisfied that the officers have made every effort to bring this extra report to us, and I thank them for this extra information. Nothing is going to we're going to gain nothing by keep going over it, I feel. Having gone through these details with a fine-tooth comb, I feel confident in moving this application for approval. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jen. Next on the list, I've got Councillor Derek Hardman. Derek?
Thank you, Chair.
Just before you start, Derek, congratulations on your new post.
Thank you, Chair. Just to highlight, I think the objector gave most of the what I was going to say, but I'm glad it's come back to us because it gives us a second opportunity at this one. as I stated last month, we've got 13.9 years supply of housing. We only need 5. I cannot see the rush to develop this site apart from one, which the objector noticed, is that a large portion of this site is owned by the council, and the council is looking for a large capital receipt. That should not be a reason for us to go against our local plan. The emerging local plan still hasn't finished yet and needs to be checked by the planning inspectors, but also our policies. We seem to, whenever we have a piece of land, the policies go out of the window. We seem to just put them in the shredder and they disappear. This shouldn't be right. We have policies for a reason, and we should be following the policies. And our policies say that this plan should be rejected. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. Councillor Cornett, Solly.
I think he's drawing through a different way, Dave. He can't talk, he can only comment.
Oh, can you hear us?
I think so.
Councillor Cornett, do you want to speak if you can hear us? Right, okay, we'll move on to Councillor Marrow then, if until Solly gets sorted out. Paul, Councillor Marrow.
Right, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to echo what Councillor Hardman has already said. It does worry me that we are putting something through that's still in the draft local plan. I think we're skating on thin ice with the electorate here, that when we've still got the local plan consultation going forward and ongoing, that we seem to be rubber stamping something which we should not be even looking at or considering yet. It is wrong, and it's not within the best policies of this committee that we should be doing it. And I would like to have seen this being refused and rejected for now, at least, because it is not right that we just seem to be forgetting what we're here for, and we're here to serve the people of this borough and to do it in a proper manner. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Have we any other speakers?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, Paul, Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Chairman. All I want to say on this matter again is I've said it before and I'll say it again. All you're interested in, the Labour group on this council, is to build houses upon houses upon houses. We're going to have no greenery anywhere in this borough, and we're going to have no greenery between boroughs. It's going to be all houses everywhere. I think that's what you are after, what you want to do. And I think it's time you just sat back, had a look at it, and think twice about all these houses that are going up. Because to me, we're going to have, I've said before, I'll say it again, we're going to have no greenery whatsoever in this borough if we keep going on like we are doing. And I agree with the other two councillors who just spoke, the two Tory councillors, that you seem to be wanting to do this. And my view is, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think you're doing this so you can get more and more council tax money in to your coppers inside the borough. That's what I think anyway. Thanks, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Is there anyone else? I think I've got Councillor Vermani. Jan?
Chair, this is just an outline planning application, and when the full planning application comes in, I think we'll discuss in full details. I think Councillor Jane Oates gave her reason, and they're all valid reason, and I second that we approve this planning application, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. I'll just see if I've got anyone else. Councillor Phil Riley. Phil?
Thank you, Chair. I'm obviously the executive member for growth and development, and I have taken or I have asked the legal team at the council to ensure that I am within my rights to A, be present at this meeting, and B, to speak, and they've confirmed that to be the case. Just to put Paul's mind at rest, 38% of the borough is green belt. So this proposal is an absolutely minute amount. Of course, it isn't green belt, in fact, but it is worth people remembering that 38% of the borough of Blackburn with Darwen is actually within the green belt. The curiosity to me is that the last meeting, both Mr. Atherton, Councillor Marrow and Councillor Hardman made great play of the minerals resources, minerals safeguarding, and none of them have mentioned it tonight, which seems an odd thing to do. But maybe it's because the mineral resource assessment is absolutely clear cut in what it says, which is that there's no practical mechanism for extraction of workable minerals in this particular site, and that the MRA is meant to be just that. It's meant to be an assessment of whether there is anything practical that could be done with it, and it's not meant to be the start of a process that ties everybody in knots and makes the application unable to work because it's been given challenges. So on the face of that, then, and it strikes me, obviously, the fact that none of the three of them have mentioned it means that from being last month's hot topic, it's become this month's no topic. So well, the thing, it's been moved and seconded by colleagues, so I will leave it there.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor, let's look. Councillor Cornett, I can bring you back in if you can speak. I don't think he can. It's a bit frustrating. He can hear us, but he can't speak. I think he's typing something. But anyway, I'll bring Derek back in while Councillor Cornett's typing. Derek, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Just to answer Councillor Riley's comments, what we did object to was that the mineral policy, which was meant to be in the outline planning, wasn't there, and obviously you've now presented it. So obviously we're happy that you've now done that. But until we got hold of that, we couldn't confirm one way or another whether there was an issue that should have been investigated. But just to say we're happy that it's been done correctly this time and that the plan has been put in. Thank you. Thank
you, Derek. Yeah, Councillor Connor's put in the chat that Councillor Riley's covered his points. So there you go. Is there anyone else wish to speak? I don't think so. Gavin, do you want to sum anything up, or are you happy?
I have no further comment, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Oates moved that this is approved, and Councillor Janvramani seconded it. Everyone read the updates with the further points? I mentioned that at the beginning and everyone said yes.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll go to the vote. Shannon, do you want to do the roll call, please?
Yeah. Smith.
4.
Hector.
Yeah.
Brown.
Can I ask, I think at the last meeting I abstained. Can you find that out now? No.
Not at this second, no, sorry.
No, all right. Well, anyway, I'm going to abstain.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hardman.
Against.
Harling.
4.
Janvramani. 4. Corn.
4.
Marrow.
Against.
Oates.
4.
Riley.
4.
Slater.
Did you get that?
No, Jackie,
Shannon,
what was that? Sorry.
Shannon, did you get that? Against?
Thank you. And also, if Councillor Casey and Councillor Cornett could put their voting in the comments. Thank you.
Put them in the comments, Shannon.
Great.
And they're
Thank
both
you.
4. Okay. Okay, Shannon. Okay, so that application has been approved with the various conditions as outlined. Okay, we'll move on to item 4.2, which is full plan application for 4 dwellings, associated access road, landscaping and parking. If you look at the update report, there's quite a lot of information which Gavin will go through. There's an objection from Councillor Rigby and the Parish Council. There's various representations from residents and some extra conditions. There's quite a lot there, but Gavin will go through. I'll go through everything, I think, on that. With a speaker, Mr. McBriar, who we heard from earlier. So presumably, Mr. McBriar, you can hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Yes.
Right. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and firstly, thank you for obviously.
Oh, sorry, Mr. McBriar. You're the applicant, are you?
Yes, I am. Sorry. Yes,
yeah.
I am.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for obviously giving me the opportunity to present our proposal. As you may be aware, we bought this land a few years ago, and the land currently has the benefit of planning for 2 imposing houses on the site. From the original outset, we believe
Please hold.
Oh.
Hello.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, carry on. You're all right.
Sorry. Yeah. From the outset, we always believed that the approved scheme didn't actually complement the village, and thought that a scheme of more affordable, quality family homes would probably fit better. Due to this, we spent many hours with the planning officers, who we really are grateful for the time and efforts they put in to help us, to come up with a scheme that we believe works better and potentially offers local expanding families the opportunity to stay local. As you're aware, we wanted to present the proposal to the committee in January, but to some what we very much agreed to be credible objections, we decided to delay until all these objections had been considered and addressed. We've worked closely with Gavin, Clare and the officers to basically address these situations, and obviously it's allowed us to delay to this evening. We basically are now presenting a scheme that we believe deals with all the objections and also ensuring that it complies with all the regulations, and I believe it's a scheme that's now been supported by your officers. The changes have seen us slightly reposition the plots, and in cases plots 3 and 4, we've actually reduced the heights of the builds to comply with objections raised. Plots 1 and 2, we've maintained the heights of these properties, but we committed to reduce the land levels to ensure that the heights of the new properties are no higher than the existing properties around. We obviously understand that, and in fact, we actually welcome the conditions set, and I give you my assurance that we'll comply fully with them to make sure that the scheme is delivered in a way that it further enhances the village. On that basis, we fully intend to use materials constituted stone and slate to again complement other neighbouring properties. Finally, I'd like to say, obviously, we're local people, and we're really totally committed to delivering a scheme that the village will be proud of and that will enhance the community. And to that end, we really hope that you join your planning officers in fully supporting the proposal. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McBriar. Thanks very much. Gavin, do you want to go through this, please?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Yes, I want to go through this in quite detailed, actually, because it, as you know, the application was withdrawn from last month's meeting, and there's a lot of issues and concerns that I need to address for you to consider, in particular because of the fact that we have received a significant number of objections from the local residents, 17 objections in total. A lot of the objections are from the same residents, which are immediately adjacent to the application site. There's also been an objection from the parish council and concerns and objections raised from the local ward councillor. So the application site is within the Chapeltown envelope adjacent to the conservation area and the listed buildings at 110 114 High Street. It consists of the former farmyard that was associated with Meadowcroft Farm, which is now redundant. The application site is irregular in shape, which previously consisted of farm buildings that have now been demolished. And I hope you can see that those pictures on the screen there that was taken in 2015, showing the position of the large agricultural building that was previously on the application site. The principle of residential development on the site has been established since 2006. The proposal has been through extensive negotiations with officers, including myself. Members will recall the application was withdrawn from last month's meeting to allow the further negotiations to take place to address the concerns and the objections received as a result of the main report being published. The scheme before you tonight is the final scheme that officers are pleased to present to you. The proposal is to erect 4 dwellings, 2 3-storey 4-bed dwellings and 2 2-storey 3-bed properties. I will go through each plot in detail later, and the access to the site is via an existing single width track access of Chapel Grange. The objections from the local residents can be summarised as overdevelopment, scale, design and massing unsympathetic to its surroundings, loss of privacy, daylight and sunlight, inappropriate materials to be used, the height of the dwellings, lack of on-site parking and surface water drainage issues. So as you can see, a number of concerns and issues raised. Before I address these objections, turning to the principal development, as I've stated, the principle of residential development on the site has been established since 2006 with the granting of planning permission for 2 dwellings. The farming use on the site has now ceased and the site is now vacant. As such, it is considered the principle of the development is now acceptable, being considered to be brownfield site within the village settlement boundary. The initial consent in 2006 was for 2 substantial large detached dwellings up to 2,700 square feet in size. The most recent consent in 2019 for 2 dwellings was also of a similar footprint. It could be argued that the proposals for plot 2 on these previous consents had a greater impact on number 6 Chapel Grange and number 10 Tower Court than the current proposal under consideration, in particular the gable elevation of number 10 Tower Court. As you can see for the previous site photographs that I put on the screen, the presence of the previous agricultural building with number 10 Tower Court was not dissimilar than the current proposal. Hence, concerns regarding the relationship between buildings can also be mitigated. Turning to the impact on the heritage assets, the application site previously had unsightly outbuildings. There was an unkept site which is now vacant. The proposed dwellings will be designed with stone and slate to ensure the relationship with the conservation area, and the listed buildings will be safeguarded. As stated in paragraph 3, 5, 9 and 10, in accordance with the Listed Buildings Conservation Areas Act 1990, it is considered that any harm to the setting has already been considered with the previous approvals, with the latest consent still being extant. Turning now to the main considerations and addressing each objections raised, I will now go through each plot set out in the main report. Members are also advised that further representations have been received from the neighbouring residents since the publication of the main report, and these are included in detail in the report along with officers' responses to each issue raised. So turning to plot 1, this will be a 3-storey dwelling up to 9 metres at ridge height. And regarding the impact on number 6 Chapel Grange, as the separation distance is 13 metres, it's proposed that the window serving the bedroom will be obscure glaze together with all the first floor windows on the east elevation. The proposed enclosed balcony will have an outlook towards number 2 Chapel Grange. However, the separation distance is 28 metres, which is considered acceptable. On the west facing rear elevation, facing number 126, 128 High Street, the bedroom window will face the side garden of this property and will not affect any habitable windows. Turning to plot 2, this will be another 3-storey dwelling. The windows on the western elevation facing number 126, 128 High Street serve non-habitable rooms, and there is a separation distance of 24 metres. Amendments have been received to relocate the bedroom windows on the side elevation so as to not face number 6 Chapel Grange. The secondary window on the eastern elevation facing this property again will be obscure glazed to prevent any loss of privacy. Turning to plot 3, this is sited in the corner of the application site between number 6 Chapel Grange and number 10 Tower Court, in the position of where the previous agricultural building was positioned. It has also been sited further into the application site from its original position. The rear of number 10 Tower Court has a 2-storey rear extension with a Juliet balcony and is repositioned bedroom window on the gable. Number 6 Chapel Grange has a conservatory on the rear facing the application site and bedroom window. The previous consent allowed a new dwelling to be positioned in this location, which was considered to have a greater impact on number 10 Tower Court. The proposed dwelling again has been orientated following detailed negotiations with the officers to be between the main outlook from these 2 properties. The plot is now 2-storey with a ridge height of 6.4 metres. It is also 3 metres from the boundary of number 6 Chapel Grange that has an existing boundary hedge of 3 metres in height. only the upper half of the proposed dwelling will be visible from the property. It is recognised that the owner of this property could remove this hedge at any time. However, members are advised that the position of the dwelling within the plot has not relied on this hedge being retained. The plot is also at an oblique angle, similar to previous approvals, so there'll be no direct overlooking to habitable room windows of number 6 Chapel Grange. Condition number 11 is being imposed regarding the landscaping and boundary treatments for each plot. This will take into account the constraints and specific relationship to the existing properties. Regarding number 10 Tower Court, and in particular the bedroom window on the gable, that directly overlooks the application site. Previously, as I mentioned, there was a large agricultural building in close proximity to this window. The proposal for plot 3 has designed so that the users of this bedroom can directly look between plots 3 and 4. Furthermore, the proposal will also have a less of an impact than the previous permissions for the 2 dwellings, the latest of which, as I said, is still extant. To ensure the occupiers of number 6 Chapel Grange and number 10 Tower Court are not affected by any overlooking, it is recommended to impose a condition that the first floor windows and the side elevations of plot 3 be obscure glazed with restrictive openings. This would offset the separation distance of the oblique angle between plot 3 and number 10 Tower Court, being 8 metres from the blank gable wall and 12 metres from plot 3 to the ground floor storeroom and bedroom window on the gable of number 10 Tower Court. The enclosed balcony facing southeast will be directly facing the adjacent football ground between the 2 existing dwellings. Finally, turning to plot 4, this has been subject to extensive negotiations with officers to address the objections raised. This will be a 2-storey dwelling now, rather than originally being a 3-storey. Plot 4 will be set at an angle to number 15 Tower Court. So amendments have been received showing the plot moved half a metre towards plot 2 and lowered in height from 9 metres to 6.4 metres to maintain an acceptable separation distance with number 15 Tower Court, as explained in paragraph 3.536 of the main report. Again, with the angled relationship of the plot and the adjacent properties and the obscure glazed restrictive opening windows and the elevations facing Tower Court, any loss of privacy is reduced. The enclosed balcony on the eastern elevation has also been reduced in size to reduce the impact towards number 10 Tower Court. The curtilage of the property towards the southern boundary, not the southern boundary, the western boundary has also been extended. The amendments are considered to be acceptable in terms of addressing the impact towards the properties on Tower Court and High Street. Concerns have been raised regarding the height of the dwellings, the massing and the design. These have been carefully considered along with the Council's Conservation Officer. The proposed layout has been carefully considered, offering private outdoor space that mirrors the size of the proposed dwellings. Whilst the larger dwellings will be 9 metres at ridge height, it is considered from the submitted site section drawings that the impact on the immediate surroundings would not be too severe to justify warranting a refusal. The proposed dwellings would not be significantly higher than the existing properties. Condition number 9 is being imposed relating to the finished floor levels and external ground levels being submitted for approval before each plot is constructed. This will allow officers to ensure that the ridge height of the dwellings, in particular plots 1 and 2, are sympathetic to its surroundings. Concerns relating to the proposed materials have also been addressed, with a condition now being imposed that the dwellings will be faced in stone or reconstituted stone to assimilate the properties with the existing character and appearance of the conservation area of the Grade 2 listed buildings. Boundary treatments will also be conditioned that will ensure that they are appropriate, particularly with the shared boundary to the football ground. The proposed access to the site is considered to be acceptable. The internal road will not be adopted and will have a gated access, the design of which is considered to be acceptable. A further condition is to be imposed relating to this gate as referred to in the update report. Parking for each of the plots is acceptable and a bin storage area at the entrance is appropriately positioned so as not to affect the sightlines or access. No objections have been received from the Council's drainage engineers and United Utilities, subject to appropriate conditions. So in summary, members, the proposal has been subject to a detailed and thorough assessment that has taken into account all the objections and the issues raised. The proposed development is considered to be acceptable, subject to all the conditions listed in paragraph 4.1, the main report, some of which have been modified, and the new conditions in the update report.
Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for that detailed report. Are there any questions or comments? I've got Councillor Marrow. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It just seems that we've really had to, the officers have had to look at this a lot. There's been a lot of lowering of the heights, windows not opening properly, mesh windows screened and covered and all sorts. It just seems to me like we've tried putting the applicants tried putting too much into too small an area. I know it's an awkward shape. I know it's not good, but you know, it just seems that we've tried cramming 4 houses in on a site that it's really not fit for, where it will affect the residents locally. You know, beside and everything. It would have been better as 2. I'm quite sure. Can I just clarify about the highway as well? Is there good sight lines on and off the site? You know, are highways happy with the sight lines for getting on and off the site? Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Paul. I'll bring Saf in after the other points, okay, after other people have spoken. Councillor Oates, Jen.
Thanks, Chair. What a lot of, I feel, a lot of consideration has gone into this application, as Paul just mentioned. Officers have spent a lot of time working out these conditions, which are all outlined for us in 4.1. I think I would move this for approval with the conditions outlined in that section taken into consideration. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Jen. Have we got anyone else? Councillor Oates has moved it. Would someone like to second it?
Second that, Chair.
Okay. I'll bring in Saf Safalam. Saf, are you there, please?
I am, Chair.
Thank you. Saf is
Hi.
our highways officer for everyone watching online.
Good evening, everyone. Just in response to Councillor Marrow's question, yes, Councillor Marrow, the sight lines are slightly substandard at the moment, but we have asked for the vegetation to be cleared so that clear sight lines can be achieved, and in our opinion, they can be, and a condition has been attached accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Saf. Okay, is there anyone else? It's been moved and seconded. Just before we have a vote, I know Gavin and Claire have worked very, very hard on this application to make it as best as we possibly can, and I think the result is a much better application. So I'd just like to thank Gavin and Claire especially for all the hard work that's gone in, and also Saf as well. Thank you very much indeed, because I know everyone's put in a lot of time and effort in order to make this. This development viable. Councillor Casey has made a comment. I'll read it out. Councillor Casey would like to commend officers and applicant for working with the local community to address concerns raised. Clearly, a lot of work has been done to amend the plans and overcome concerns that have been raised. Okay, so that's Councillor Casey's comments. It's been moved and seconded for approval with the various conditions and obviously the various further conditions in the update report. So, Shannon, do you want to go through the roll call, please?
Yep. Smith.
4.
Akhtar.
4.
Brown.
Can I ask a question before I give you my verdict of my vote?
Go on, I'm feeling in a good mood tonight, Paul, so go on.
It's only a quickie, yes or no. You mentioned the ward councillor were against this development, and yet on Gavin's statement, nothing was mentioned about why the ward councillor were against this.
Paul, it was Councillor Colin Rigby, and he thought the site was overdeveloped. Okay.
Okay, right, fair enough. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm for it.
Okay, thank you.
Casey. Hardman.
Against.
Horling.
4.
Janvamorny.
4.
Corn.
4.
Councillor Cornett. Marrow.
Against.
Oates.
4.
Riley.
4.
And Slater. Jackie?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I am against this development because it's overkill. The original two would have been fine, but this is just plain greedy and far too many on such a short space. So I'm against it.
Okay.
I'm with the ward councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Cornett and Councillor Casey both indicated that they approve, okay?
Yep.
Okay,
Well,
so
that won't
that's
surprise me. That's just with the ward councillor.
all right. Thanks, Paul. So that application's been approved, okay, with the various conditions. We'll move on to item 4.3, which is full plan application, proposed new skate park, dirt jump, pump track area, covered by BMX contest area, bounded by shipping containers to be used as storage, contest ramps, repair and maintenance area, viewing area, and scope to be used as accommodation brackets camp facility. And this is at Junction 4 Skate Park, Blackburn Road in Darwin. There's no speaker on this one. There's no updates. Gavin, do you want to go through it, please?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've just waited to bring the slides up onto the screen. So yeah, the application tonight relates to the existing Junction 4 skate park site and the vacant land to the south of Darwin Vale High School. So full planning permission is sought for an extension to the existing facility to create an urban sports village to be built on the existing car park and the adjoining land to the south. It will comprise an open side building accommodating an Olympic standard wooden ramps, an outdoor concrete skate park, an outdoor dirt jumping area, shipping container boundary treatments along the eastern and southern boundaries, ancillary eating facilities, and overnight accommodation which are aimed at competitors when large events are taking place. 2 objections have been received as a result of the wide public consultation that took place, which are detailed in the section 9 of the main report. So to the principle, the application site is located within the urban boundary, and with regards to the existing grassed area, Sport England have considered the proposal against paragraph 97 of the NPPF. The grassed area previously accommodated a rounders pitch, which was last used over 12 years ago. Sport England offer no objections to the proposal as it meets their requirements, and the NPPF in that the scheme is for an outdoor sports facility of significant benefit, which outweighs the loss of the previously playing area. It is also allocated as green infrastructure in the local plan, where Policy 9 allows for development as the benefits of the developments in terms of economic and social outweigh the loss of the green space. A small portion of the site is to the west lies within a mineral safeguarding areas defined by the 2013 plan. The application site lies within the urban boundary, and as such, the explanation paragraph to the relevant policy M2 have excluded urban areas from the mineral safeguarding area, as the immediate surroundings have already been sterilised by existing development, and there is no prospect for the application site ever being used for future mineral workings. So therefore, the principal development is considered to be acceptable. In terms of heritage, a heritage statement has been submitted as a result of the proximity of the existing listed Middle Moss and Higher Moss farmhouses on Mossfold Road to the south. This has been assessed by the Council's Conservation Officer. It is considered that the public benefits arising from the proposal are significant and the impact on the heritage assets are less than substantial, as referred to in paragraphs 3.5.14 to paragraph 3.5.18 of the main report. As such, the proposal is considered to be acceptable from a heritage perspective. The main consideration in terms of the proposal is the impact on residential amenity. A detailed noise assessment has been submitted, which has been subject to a thorough examination by public protection officers, which is covered in paragraphs 3.5.24 to paragraph 3.5.27 of the main report. A noise management plan is recommended, along with the hours of opening 10 AM to 10 PM Monday to Saturday and 10 AM to 7 PM on Sundays, together with there being no gaps between the containers. In terms of the impact towards the closest residential properties, i.e. Mossfold Farm to the south, the separation distance between the concrete and dirt tracks and the dwellings is a minimum of 18.5 metres. There's no direct interface will exist due to the offset position of these dwellings. The containers along the boundary will also prevent any significant privacy loss. The ancillary sleeping accommodation also pose no amenity concerns. A single shipping container will also accommodate fast food vendors during events, but this will also be on an occasional basis, and as such there are no concerns. If there are any noise complaints, these can be addressed through other statutory nuisance powers under the 1990 Environmental Protection Act. The open-sided building replicates the existing building in terms of scale and roof form. Boundary treatments along the exposed southern boundary will help screen the single and double-storey containers. that is landscaping, which will be conditioned accordingly, as you can see from the visual on the screen. There are no objections from the council's drainage engineers or the ecologists. Turning to highways, a transport note was submitted with the application. No objections have been raised from the council's highway officer. It's considered there will be no significant impact on the highway network. 28 dedicated parking spaces support the proposal, and given the age of the typical customer base, the proposed parking, the drop-off and the servicing arrangements are considered to be sufficient. In summary, the proposed development will deliver a high-quality leisure and recreation facility to the benefit of the borough's residents and the communities beyond, and is compliant with national and local planning policies. As such, members are advised to support the recommendation to approve the proposal with the conditions listed in paragraph 4.1 of the main report.
Thank you, Gavin.
David, I'd like to propose that we approve this application. It's a wonderful application. It's a great asset to Darwen. It will bring people into Darwen, and Jake Berry's got to be congratulated on getting the money for this. It's an absolute wonderful facility, and I urge the committee to back it and vote for it.
Yeah, I second it, Dave, because it's a very good, this for young and both parties, because we have, no facility for youngsters. I think this is a good one.
Thank you, Hector. Councillor Riley. Phil?
Sorry. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, no, I agree with the enthusiastic support. It's obviously one of the first outcomes, or I think it's the second outcome of the Darwen Town deal. This is one of the fast track ones. It's a terrific idea. I know it's something that we had some conversations about with the proprietor during the pandemic, in the early days of it, when he was explaining his plans, and it's a great thing to be able to bring it to fruition. So it should be a fantastic asset to young people in the borough.
Thank you, Phil. Councillor Oates. Jen?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I agree with everybody else. I mean, you can only describe this as exciting news for Darwen, with good economic and social gain. This application, I feel, will create a facility to be enjoyed by not only local residents, but far and beyond. I think that also Darwen could gain really good national recognition. I think it's a great application, and I'm delighted with it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Jane. Councillor Janvramani. Jan?
Mine is Sam again. I think it's a fantastic facilities which will be for the Darreners, as Paul would love that. And not only that, it is right on the junction of motorway, where people from Manchester and other places, they can get to that place in about half an hour to 45 minutes, and that's very good. I think I'm for it, and I'll support the application, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Is there anyone else? No. Before I go to the vote, about 3 years ago, I went to visit this site, and the then proprietor was showing me the site and his vision, and I thought it was a bit pie in the sky at the time, thinking, well, where's he going to get the money? How is it all going to happen? And his vision was a national facility for this centre, and it's all coming to fruition, which is really exciting to see. So 3 years on from that initial conversation, it's really good to see that this is actually going to happen. So it's really good news, and it'll put this area certainly on the map, and it's good news for the borough, like everyone has said. Okay, so I'll bring Councillor Cornat's commented. This is fantastic news for Darwen. And Councillor Actor will greatly benefit young people, receive concerns from both the public and young people. The public feel that young people skating in public places such as town should be diverted to a proper facility to be enjoyed, whilst young people have campaigned for some time, and Darwen in particular, recognised in providing this facility. Okay, Shannon, do you want to do the roll call, please?
Yep. Smith.
4.
Actor.
He's put in the chat that he's 4, Shannon.
Thank you. Brown. Casey, Hardman,
4.
Harling,
4.
Janvamani,
4.
Corn,
4.
Cornett, Marrow,
4.
Oates,
4.
Riley,
4.
Slater.
4.
I'll just go back to Councillor Brown.
Paul, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I'm definitely 100% for it.
Did you say you're against it, Paul?
Sorry?
Did you say you're against?
You must be joking,
Oh,
lad.
sorry.
You must be joking.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear you then. I've got Councillor Cornett and Councillor Casey have both voted for, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, so that application has been approved unanimously. Thank you. So we'll move on to item 4.3. No, we've done 4.3. So we'll move on to 4. There isn't a 4.4, so we'll move on to item 5, which is a supplemental report of the director. This is for noting, and it's note for the change of the date to February 22nd on condition 11. Gavin, do you want to say anything on this?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Nothing really. I think the report says it all. It's just for noting the application's not been brought back. I think it was just realised by our ecological consultant that the date and the condition that they put in was wrong, and it was just to correct that error there. Doesn't affect the decision at all. So the decision that has been, the condition number 11 has been amended accordingly, and this is just for noting.
Thank you. Just to remind everyone, because we dealt with this last time, it's the change of use for 2 barns at Hob Lane Farm to a single attached dwelling and internal garage, and that's at Hob Lane Farm, Blackburn Road in Turton. Anyone has any comments on that? I think that's just straightforward. Shannon, do you want to move the? We're actually just moving to note this application, so I don't think anyone will have any objections. If anyone has objections, speak now. I'll move it. Is it seconded?
Seconded.
Okay, thanks. I don't even think we need a formal vote on this. Like I said, it's only for noting. Okay. Just before the meeting, Councillor Jackie Slater said she had a question about something.
Yes.
Jackie,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Don't ask it now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is for Michael Green at Legal. In last September, October, we passed, the committee passed for a footpath to be diverted from Swan Farm. It is now into February committee. There has been quite a lot of footpaths in the paper. This one has not been in the paper. I have contacted Paul Withington, who is our highways guy that deals with diverted footpaths, and he says that he has emailed Legal twice to say that this committee passed it and they haven't done anything with it. Now, if the committee passes something, surely they have a right to deal with it. And I'd like an answer to that question, please.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yes.
Michael, have you got an answer offhand, or do you want to contact Jackie after the meeting?
I don't have an answer offhand. I'm not aware of the instructions coming through to me personally, but we do have a legal colleague that does most of these diversions, etc. And I will follow up with her. She is on leave tomorrow, so it will be Monday.
Okay.
Thank
so,
you.
Jackie, is that all right if Michael?
That's
checks
fine,
that up?
as long as I get an answer.
Right. Michael, can someone contact Jackie on Monday, please?
Yes, we'll do.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry,
Thank
Councillor.
you. Thank you very much. Okay, so that ends the meeting. We will see you all again in March. Presumably it will be online again. Hopefully by the end of the year we might be able to meet in person, but who knows. So thanks everyone for coming and wish you all a good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thanks,
Thank
Chair.
you. Good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.